If you've been thinking about creating a short podcast, maybe a short stack or a private podcast reader magnet, but you haven't started yet, you are not behind. You're not overthinking. You're actually in a really smart place. Because 3 months from now, you might be in conversations with a publisher who asks, how are you reaching your target readers today? Or honestly, y'all, if you're self-publishing, you're probably asking yourself that very same question, right? Meanwhile, your future readers are quietly wondering, where can I find the help I need? Or, is this book for me? A short, strategic, standalone podcast can answer all of those questions at once. Today, I'm going to share the most common mistakes authors make with short podcasts so you can avoid them and get moving forward without feeling rushed or regretful. And if you're thinking, well, I'm just going to DIY this, I don't really need a plan. This episode is especially for you. Not because I want to slow you down, but because I want you to get results, whether that's growing your author platform or selling your book. And with a short podcast, results can start with first avoiding a few simple mistakes. So mistake number 1 is launching a podcast with the goal of, quote unquote, start a podcast. Because that's not a strategy to lead people to your book or your book idea. That's just a wish. So a short podcast should have a clear job that it is going to do for you as an author. So it's either going to attract new listeners who are your target readers so they come closer to your book idea and your actual book through a short stack public podcast. Or you're going to deepen trust with the people who have already raised their hand and subscribed to your email list. And you're going to get a chance to nurture them toward buying your book with your private podcast reader magnet. So the question that we sometimes skip is, how will I actually know if this short podcast is working for me? So is your success measurement by more email subscribers? Is that your main goal? Is it more book sales? Or is it just reaching more of my target readers and serving them now while I'm still writing my book? Without that clarity first, we're not going to be able to measure your progress, and you'll end up guessing and getting frustrated when you don't see your short podcast working for you. So this is exactly why I created a 2-week strategy sprint, because I don't want to complicate this process, but I do want to help you get crystal clear on your goal first and then support you through creating your podcast. And if you're interested, you can book a sprint at the link in the show notes, and I'd love to support you. Now, mistake number 2 is all about your episodes. So many other podcasters create interesting content, but it's not always intentional content. So when we're talking about a short series, standalone podcast, we want every episode to gently guide your listeners closer to becoming book buyers, right? And closer to meeting your own author goals as well. So that doesn't mean you're selling your book constantly. Buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. It just means you're serving strategically, right? And so today, shorter is often better for our readers. And that's why I love a 6-episode podcast that can be binged in the same amount of time your target reader would listen to you on a podcast interview. So what it comes down to is, would you rather someone binge your whole podcast series and feel excited to read your book? Or do you just want them to listen to one long episode and never come back for more? Wah, wah. If listeners drop off after episode 1, your series never gets the chance to do its job. We don't want that, right? So mistake number 3 is overthinking your title, your cover art, and every word of your episode. Remember, this is a short, bingeable series, not a forever podcast. Done is better than perfect. Because honestly, in the case of a short podcast, you're going to be promoting it, and it's going to be the content and your heart behind it that counts. This is also where my custom AI assistant, Six-Pack Sally, comes in handy. Once we map out your strategy during our 2-week sprint, Sally can help us shape episode outlines, engaging episode hooks, and non-yucky call to actions in seconds, so you're not stuck in analysis paralysis about starting your show. Ooh, anybody else battling that out? So mistake number 4 is assuming you need fancy gear or a paid editor. You really don't for a short series. I'm so grateful for my fellow pod friends that shared their simple setups when I very first started my podcast. I just started, with a quiet room and a $70 microphone. Now, though, y'all, I literally record in my car on my iPhone. Seriously, if there's some background noise, I use an easy free tool to clean it up. If I need to edit it, well, if you're like me, if you can edit a Word document, you can edit a podcast. And if your gift is speaking off the cuff, then you may not need to edit at all. And your podcast hosting platform automatically distributes your show to Apple, Spotify, and everywhere else that somebody might listen to a podcast. And it's all done at the click of just a few buttons. So you don't need to pay somebody to do that for you when we're talking about a short podcast. Remember, this is a bingeable podcast series that helps you market your book without taking time away from writing. So creating your podcast should be no different, right? And if you want simple, easy to follow tutorials, I'm your girl because podcasting should save you time and money, not drain your family budget, even your time budget, right? So mistake number 5 is thinking you need a big, complicated launch plan. But guess what? You don't. You can share your short stack podcast with your email list, with your own podcast if you have one, or you can share it while guesting on other shows. Or if you're using a private podcast reader magnet, you can share that short podcast with your weekly podcast listeners on your own show. Or again, you can share it while guesting on other shows when you're serving new to you people, right? And getting them on your email list. You could even do swaps with your fellow writing and podcasting friends and share it that way. Now, if you're thinking, well, wait, what about social media? Well, if you're not active there, no problem. Nobody is scrolling social to find a podcast to listen to anyway. And if you are active on social and it's working for you, well, then just naturally roll in some of the content from your short podcast as your next step for your followers. And again, my custom AI assistant, Six Pack Sally, can help you draft natural sounding promotions in seconds. So you're not staring at a blank screen trying to create your own promos. Listen, I don't want you to make any of these mistakes and have to learn the hard way when starting your short podcast. So let's work together in a 14-day sprint. There's no full launch, no fluff, just deep impact and getting heard by more readers without burning out. Who's with me? Okay, now since we're also talking about marketing that doesn't take up all our time, let's look ahead and see how we can do that as we go forward in the year. So Q2 is coming faster than we think, and what your readers need from you in April, May, and June is going to be different than what they needed from you this quarter. And so in the next episode, we're going to kick off a 4-part series called Get Inside Your Readers' Heads. And I'll help you read the room for April, May, and June so your episode content is timely, helpful, and shareable, whether you're hosting or guesting on podcast. Even if you've already batched your weekly episodes or pitched guest topics for next quarter, I still have ideas for you. And if you like planning ahead or wish you were better at it, you won't want to miss our next episode. Thanks for tuning into Book Marketing Mania. And as always, I'll be there for you next episode to help you reach and serve your readers one podcast at a time. See you then.